in prison with no charges. The United States Supreme Court, the highest court, have vacated the conviction. Then why are you holding this person? Especially when we have this deadly coronavirus that Pastor Victor is complaining that he has been very, very sick. He have said that all of the symptoms, headaches, he can't keep any food down, he's throwing up, he's having chills, he can't keep his body warm, feverish, and he's sick.
They say around the world, no justice, no peace. And unfortunately right now, we can have no peace because Pastor Errol Victor is being unjustly held. It's been a shame from the beginning. This has been a very, very sad case. We're talking about a man who has great character. And his only problem was he was a successful businessman. He was getting ready to open up a supermarket and a host of other businesses. And the white community in St. John Parish felt threatened that he was competing with them. He had a perfect credit score, 850, never been late paying any of his bills. They had a problem with him because he wasn't a person who dismissed kids, but a person who educated his kids. And he wanted his kids to be successful. So all of his kids drove nice cars. All of his kids did great things. He passed on great trades to them. And they really, really was angry with him. And his kid got sick, and his kid died. And as a result, they had a way in. And they said, we're going to put it on him as if he murdered his kid. And that was an absolute lie. He did not hurt his kid. The kid died of natural results. But here's what they did. The day that he was arrested, they arrested him. They seized all of his assets, his house, his cars, all of his businesses. How could you seize someone's property without due process? He never was late paying his bills. He was current. He had a perfect credit score. Not only that, before he was convicted, before he had not even been to trial yet, they took his kids and gave all of his kids up for adoption. Come on now. We're talking about America. This doesn't even happen in the Soviet Union. All of his kids was given up for adoption. Not only that, but he was placed in penitentiary, Angola, Louisiana, one of the worst penitentiaries in the world, without having any conviction. When he arrived to the penitentiary, they say, what is he here for? He has not been found and not been convicted. He hasn't even went to trial yet. And they say, we don't know what to do with him. This place is designed for people who have 75 years, who has been sentenced for 75 years to life. Their courts and the judicial system has been unfair to Pastor Errol Victor since the beginning. And now the United States Supreme Court ruled that it vacated his sentence. The Fifth Circuit of Appeal in the state of Louisiana has vacated his sentence. The lower courts have no charges against him. There's been the Louisiana Attorney General or the District Attorney has not brought any charges against him, but he's been held in prison. They refuse to give him a bond, which he don't need a bond because he has no sentence. They don't even want to let him out. The LUI has filed an emergency appeal, a writ of habeas corpus to present his body before the courts to see why they hold him. The courts have not even ruled with this. This is a shame. This is the kind of stuff that happens in the Philippines or happens in China, not in America. In Louisiana, we have one of the most corrupt judicial systems in the world, and we have to challenge this system. We have to do what's necessary to bring about everybody in the world has to be notified that Reverend Errol Victor is innocent. He must be freed. The coronavirus they put him in a place where the virus is rapid. And why do you do that? Because you want this man to die. Because on day one, you took his house, you took his business, y'all raided his bank account. How are you going to take over $500,000 cash out the man's bank account? Where is his money? Why did you take his money? On day one, there was no conviction, there's no judgment. He owed nobody. Give him his freedom, give him his house back, give him his business back, and give him his money, and give him his kids back. I relinquish the rest of my time.
Listening to Pastor, to the brother minister Boykins, and the story is so sad, and the facts are so clear of the lynching of the vigilante approach that the state of Louisiana, the parish of St. John the Baptist, has taken with this man and his family. It is unconscionable that in this day and age, this is allowed to happen. I don't see how any black person who is made aware of what took place with Mr. Errol Victor and his family can sleep at night. I live a couple of blocks from Mr. Victor. I grew up in this community with his parents and his siblings and the people here. If they could do this to a man like Errol Victor, the rest of us stand a poor chance in this system. This is a man at 42 years old, got a family of 15, raising 13 boys. Charter school, home training, educated his children himself. Those boys built that $850,000 home that they were living in. His sons built that. They were not in the streets with their pants sagging. They were at home studying in the charter school with their father and mother, training for all of these trades. And a good example of that is that they tore this family apart, scattered the children everywhere. But these boys right today, every last one of them is successful. They got great jobs, great businesses, from electrical contracting, as a result of the upbringing that Mr. Victor provided them with. That speaks to it. So the fact that this man had to go all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States to find justice, and still these people here in Louisiana disregard that. LUI had to, and their attorneys had to threaten the state of the Angola prison system to get them to release this man. The United States Supreme Court exonerated this man. They vacated all these false charges. They railroaded this man with these vigilante trials. None of the trials that they held here in the 40th Judicial District Court were lawful. Mr. Victor defeated them. They could not get a unanimous jury, which is required for a conviction of a felony. We know that the state of Louisiana, in its Ku Klux Klan approach to black people 100 years ago, stated in the legislature that this 10-2 was so that they could incarcerate black men. For 100 years, they've done that. Finally, the people of Louisiana found out about it and threw it out. And still, they will not release those men. They will not redress this problem at all. Here we have a man who is proven innocent, and you got him locked up. And I don't find any support coming from the community. What's embarrassing to me is that I am a member of the community here in Reserve and in St. John Parish and in the state of Louisiana, and that there's not an outcry for the injustice that was done to the Victor family. These people, long before they had that that hanging jury, destroyed this man's family. They took the two babies, 1-year-old and 3-year-old, and sent them to New York State. That woman has not seen or heard from her babies. They're teenage boys now. This was what, 12 years ago. The rest of the children were scattered over, and they went, the parish of St. John took demolition equipment and went and tore down these people's homes. This man had a home he provided for his children, and the parish of St. John destroyed it. They went and scraped the house off the lot. The house was valued by the bank at $825,000. I mean, it is outrageous, the things that happen there. And please stop me, because I will rant on and on about this.
Mr. Taylor.
Number one, this is a national press conference. This is something that's going all over the country, and we're going to spread it all over the world, because this injustice will not and must not go unchecked. And the state of Louisiana, from the governor on down to the dog catcher, is guilty of violating the Universal Declaration of Human Rights when it comes to Pastor Victor's case. We have to take this not only on a national level, but also to an international level. We've got to make the complaint to the people who are on the highest levels of government, including the president-elect and the vice president-elect. We've got to make a complaint against the governor of the state of Louisiana and everybody on down. So I'm proud.
The community let people do stuff like this, they're going to continue. It's Mr. Victor today and you tomorrow. And until the people understand that, it's going to continue just like that. And we must understand to get that man out of prison. That COVID-19 is no joke. This is the real deal. And they can find a way to get you involved in stuff like that. But we have to know that we're doing what we're supposed to do to make things happen and get Mr. Victor out of there. And we can. There's strength in numbers. There's strength in numbers. We need numbers. We need people like, when I was in prison, over 22,000 people wrote me a letter. So that's one of the biggest things that you have to do. The Supreme Court ruled in my favor only because they knew that I was able to take it. Not because they given it to me. You got to be able to take it. If you can't take it, you're not going to get it into society. I don't care who you are or what you do. It don't mean a thing to these people. It don't mean nothing. If they don't think that you can take it, well, we can't take freedom from Mr. Victor. He will not get freedom. He will not get it. You think that he's going to get a bond if they think we can't take it? It's not going to happen. But I look at this as an opportunity for everybody. And I'm excited today to be here. And we got to continue to spread the word, and we got to expose them for who they are. Until we do that, it's going to continue just like this, just this way. But we can do it. And we got to tell them no justice, no peace, and no more racist police. Let's deal with this. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Over the next several weeks, LUI's Legal Affairs Committee will be finalizing administrative complaints and investigation requests that allege specific professional conduct rule violations as part of what we anticipate will be compelling evidence of deliberate misconduct with regard to with regard to Reverend Victor. In other words, we're going to go beyond simply describing what happened and saying that it's unethical, that it's illegal, it's criminal. We're going to go beyond that and allege specific rules of ethics were violated. And we're also going to suggest that the criminal violations of his rights that's apparent from the misconduct we're going to identify help prove that in light of all the other circumstantial evidence that in fact there's been crimes committed, there's been deliberate violation of his rights, which are violations of specific criminal law, federal and state criminal law. It's LUI's intent to trigger professional disciplinary proceedings, legislative hearings, and criminal investigations premised on the circumstances of Reverend Victor's prosecution, his conviction, and his ongoing detainment. But what we need—
It is very clear that it is the intent of this government, federal and local and state, to kill Mr. Victor.
Know that we are in a dangerous situation with this COVID-19 inside the jails. And that's the reason why the habeas that I filed, I want to let the world know that when I stand before the judge, he is obliged to show cause why he's holding or bring the warden or whoever's responsible for holding Pastor Victor. You know, and it's, you know, what I'm saying is that, you know, when the COVID-19 is not going to wait for us to do a whole lot, because I'm telling you, the prison that they put him in, and then Mr. Taylor spoke to it earlier, had right before they put him in there, it was a breaking news story that this prison was infested with the COVID-19. You know, we have had a guard die out there. A lot of the guys are complaining about all of the symptoms of the COVID-19. You know, we had a young man that was rolled out on a wheelchair because he couldn't even walk. You know, so this is happening right now as we speak. And I'm still waiting on the judge to bring me before the courts for them to show cause. Why are they holding Reverend Earl Victor? To release him immediately.
As Ms. Belinda had indicated earlier, by going into court, Ms. Belinda is saying that we allege, and if you can find the petition online, that there is no authority for detaining Pastor Victor in the St. Charles Parish Jail. And so now we've asked that the warden of that jail come forth to establish otherwise or release him. And there's supposed to be a hearing within 72 hours. However, as I last checked, the judge had not ruled on the motion. So that's what we're waiting for insofar as the habeas corpus.
Right, and this is what there is a Louisiana statute that is in the Constitution here, that whenever you file a habeas corpus writ to the courts, they have 72 hours to respond to it. And you know, no matter if it's a vacation, holidays, you know, or the only way they could not respond to this is that it has to be an act of war. That's not the case. I filed this on December the 17th, which was last Thursday. Today is Tuesday. I still have not heard from the courts. So again, what we're saying that this is another blatant disregard. You know, I have called the court on several occasions, you know, speaking with the judge's secretary. They're telling me, you know, making excuses why I have not heard anything, but still and yet, this is the blatant disregard that we get whenever Pastor Victor's name is being passed around in the courts with a red flag on it, that they don't have to respond. They don't have to respond according to their laws. So we're calling the press conference to put pressure on the courts to do the right thing. And that's why we're calling the whole world to this press conference. That's the reason why we're saying that the United States of America is a disgrace. They have us hog-tied, and they want us to keep on going back and forth, chasing the rabbit, okay? So what we're saying here is with Louisiana United, that the rabbit got the gun. We're not going to tolerate this kind of treatment, okay? So, you know, my blood is boiling to the point where I'm saying that the whole world have to come, unite with us, join up with us. Louisiana is first in this curve. We need to meet with the president of the United States. We got to start exposing and healing this process, because this is a very tragic situation with Reverend Victor right now. This man's life is on the line. They purposely put him in this jail infested hole with the coronavirus in there so that he can die.
Beginning with supporting Louisiana United so that when Sister Belinda Parker Brown goes before authorities, she has the strength of all of the organizations that say they support liberty. We have to go to those black folk who voted for Biden. What are the Democrats going to do for that vote? Or are we going to continue business as usual, giving our political support without political remuneration?
Yes.
Our main political prisoner in Louisiana is Pastor Victor. What are they going to do about that? And we must promise them that we will make sure that they never receive the black vote again. And we must go beyond that. Sister Belinda Parker Brown, I say to you, call an action. Let's discuss it, call an action, and we must be there.
That's what we're facing right here in the case of Reverend Earl Victor, that these people have broke every law in the book to hold him hostage. And we're saying that we want him free.
Yes.
And no one is free until we all are free.
Exactly. And we made clear that we're dealing with not only the particulars of an individual case, but systemic problems, failures of the legal system to do what it's supposed to do. And we're working with a lot of groups, and they're contemplating a day of action on Martin Luther King's Day in January. So we're an active part of that. So we're going to be following up real soon, and we'll see, we'll see good progress during the first quarter of this upcoming year. But now we really need people to help us keep Pastor Victor in the forefront of the minds of the people at the St. Charles Parish Jail. So we need you to keep calling and inquiring about his health, letting people know where you're calling from, and that we're watching. We're not going to just sit back and let them do COVID-19, weaponize COVID-19 against Pastor Victor, just like the legal system was weaponized against him. So now, if there's nothing else, Ms. Belinda, I'll close out the meeting.